Out of 56 games as head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, Kevin O'Connell has been involved in 38 one-score games. Hello everyone, my name's Ollie and welcome back to another episode on the Fourth and SKOL YouTube channel. The Minnesota Vikings have been dubbed the cardiac kids of late. Chris Carter mentioned that phrase on his social medias as the Minnesota Vikings beat the Cleveland Browns last weekend. And it's become a bit of a theme of the Kevin O'Connell era. But what is going wrong for the Vikings? Why can't they make things a little bit easier and give us fans a bit of relief and breathing space? Well, it's quite clear ever since Kevin O'Connell has taken charge of the Vikings, there's only been a limited amount of games we've actually played 4 good quarters of football. Usually it's a good start, then it sort of tends to fade off in the third quarter before a resurgence in the fourth. There's only been a handful of games I can remember. Houston Texans, I believe, from maybe 2023. Had the Falcons game from last year, and perhaps the Bengals game this year, where we actually looked really good for 4 good quarters of football. Is it a lack of discipline or is it a lack of personnel? Personally, I think it's the former. There could be a dangerous culture at this team where we're becoming a little bit lackadaisical. American football is hard. 60 minutes of massive hits, explosive movements. It's a tough sport. But personally, you have to be switched on for the duration. That's how these teams make it. That's how these teams win multiple Super Bowls. Like the Chiefs continuously get to the playoffs and the championship and Super Bowl rounds year on year. I think that's a big thing that Kevin O'Connell needs to work on, and his coaching staff to play more consistently throughout games and throughout the season. Another reason linking to that is complementary football. Usually we see the Vikings play, amazing offensive games and the defense lacks slightly, or the defense carries us through and the offense, it doesn't get us over the line, or it doesn't explode into life. So to be able to play complementary football, offense, defense and special teams all together, happy days. We've seen many a game recently where the offense has had to rely on the defense for a big takeaway or a forced fumble or some sort of big momentum shift for things to get moving. But if these phases of the game were in sync, the Vikings would blow teams away. We also need stability at the QB position. Ever since Kevin O'Connell has been in charge of the Vikings, he's gone through multiple QBs. Obviously, we had Kirk Cousins, who then went down with the Achilles injury, who then got moved on. In that period, we went through Josh Dobbs, Nick Mullins, etc. Drafted JJ McCarthy high in the draft. He went down, then went through Sam Darnold. Daniel Jones came on board as well, before moving back to JJ McCarthy and now to Carson Wentz. There's a lot of movement there, and I think if we had a stable QB for many years to come, I think that would really help us build a good spine in this team. And a good spine takes you places, it takes you to the Super Bowl and beyond. A quarterback in American football is the captain, he's the driver. Very rarely do you see teams sustain a period of long-term success with chopping and changing at that position. Stability is what we need. We have stability in the head coaching position. We have stability in many positions from offense to defense, but the main position where you need stability is the quarterback. You may have to go through turbulence. You may have to go through many close one-score games, particularly with JJ McCarthy, to get to that long-term success, to get to those blowout games. But all the development, all that sort of work will be worth it in the end. Whether it's an identity issue, whether it's a mentality issue, whether it's a coaching issue, I do really think that the Minnesota Vikings need to look in-house at why we are involved in so many close games, particularly under the Kevin O'Connell era. Give him credit, we've won way more one-score games than we've lost. But as a fan base, we're all crying out for consistency, relief, and less heart attacks, please. As an example, as a Vikings fan, I've never been so relieved to see the bye in my life. Seems like this season has been full of injuries, full of inconsistencies, full of, roller coaster of emotions. So to get players back healthy in the bye, to have a couple of star players return against the Eagles is a big sigh of relief. Now, having said that, we do return against the current Super Bowl champs. However, they're struggling a little bit on offense too. There's been no team currently undefeated in the league. So I think they're there for the taking, to be honest. There's been a couple of rumblings, shots fired between their offensive star players, and they certainly aren't by any means unbeatable. We're at home. Who knows? JJ McCarthy might be back. We'll get onto that in the next video in a few days' time, next week I believe. But who knows? This next 4 or 5 game stretch for the Vikings, which looked pretty scary on paper, is starting to become a little bit more, winnable. You've obviously got the Ravens really struggling. The Chargers have taken a dip from the start of the season. We've got the Lions. The Lions look incredibly strong yet again. I thought that the Ben Johnson sort of departure was going to affect them, but they still look pretty strong. But there are some winnable games in there for the Vikings for sure, and a really important stretch where, if we can, playing complementary football and 4 good quarters of football and having a bit of QB stability would help us out massively. And to close, the funny thing is, we don't actually know how good this team is. There's been little, if any, occasion where we've been out on the field with our full starting offense and defense with injuries on there with Andrew Van Ginkel, etc. This middle part of the season is going to be super interesting, but I think we're all going to have to buckle up, Vikings fans. I think it's going to be edge of your seat football, week in, week out, and who knows what our record could be come Thanksgiving and early December. But yes, guys, thank you very much for watching and listening. Let us know your thoughts down below. Why are the Minnesota Vikings so attracted to 1-score games? Do you agree with me? Provide some solutions in the comments down below. Stay tuned, another Vikings video out next week in the bye. But yes, thank you very much. SKOL Vikes.